The Tortoise and the Ducks. One day, Tortoise was sitting alone by the duck pond. He was feeling very sad and lonely. He watched the ducks as they swam. He watched the frogs as they jumped, and he watched the dragonflies as they skimmed over the water. Tortoise could only drag his feet along the ground. The ducks, upon seeing Tortoise frown, swam up to him and asked him, "What's the matter?" "You are so lucky, my friends. You can swim and waddle and even fly. I can only plod along the ground, dragging my house upon my back. You see, I have always wanted to see what the world looked like from underwater or above the trees." The ducks quacked and nodded. This was very sad indeed. They did not like to see Tortoise this way. They talked amongst themselves for a minute or two and then came back with a clever idea. "Tortoise, Tortoise," they quacked excitedly, "we can help you fly. All you have to do is hold on to the stick with your mouth, whilst we hold it from either end. Then we can carry you up into the sky. But you must not speak," they warned. "That's easy," exclaimed Tortoise, and off they flew. Just then, Crow flew past. "You must be the king of the tortoises if the ducks are willing to carry you into the sky," shouted the crow to Tortoise. Tortoise, who felt very proud at this remark, started to reply, but just as he opened his mouth, he fell to the ground and cracked his back on the hard stones below. The Crow and the Pitcher of Water. Once upon a time, there was a very thirsty crow. He had not had a drink for many days. He feared that if he did not find water soon, he would die. His wings were weak and his legs were tired, but still he did not give up hope of finding water. Suddenly, just as he was about to collapse, he spotted a tall pitcher with a narrow neck. He summoned up all the energy he had and perched himself on the opening of the jar. He was in luck. Inside was indeed water. Crow's spirits were lifted immediately, but he had to think of a way to reach the water. The opening and the neck of the jar were too slim for Crow to reach the water inside. He had to think fast before it was too late. Just then, like a light bulb turning on, Crow had a brilliant idea. He picked all the small pebbles that were all around him and dropped them into the pitcher. Slowly, slowly, the water began to rise. Soon it was high enough for Crow to take a sip, and eventually Crow had enough water to survive another day. The Fox and the Kid. Once there was a young kid who had just grown his horns. He was extremely proud of them and would go about town showing them off. One day, as his flock were leaving this pasture, the kid was left behind. He didn't notice that he was all alone because he had been busy showing off his new horns to a squirrel. Soon it became dark. Fox was in the forest looking for an evening meal. Just then he spotted the young kid and licked his lips in anticipation. He thought, that young kid will be perfect for my supper tonight. Fox approached the kid and bowed. Good evening, young sir. Would you like to come to my house for some supper? The kid knew exactly what the fox was up to, and although he was trembling with fear, he still had hope of outsmarting the fox. Dear Mr. Fox, I know you would like to eat me, and that I am not in a position to outrun you. But do you think you could play me one last merry tune before I become your meal? The fox, who always carried his pipe with him, thought this was a marvelous idea. Yes, Master Kid, you can dance while I play. Fox began to play, and the kid danced, and the shepherd dogs, who had left with the flock, heard the music. They knew exactly who was responsible for this particular tune and ran immediately towards the fox. Kid saw his chance and sprang away as the dogs pounced upon Fox. It certainly was a lucky escape. The Eagle and the Beetle. A long time ago, when Zeus was the king of the gods, animals could talk just like humans. One day, Hare was trying to escape from Eagle. He went to his very best friend, the Beetle, for help. The Beetle begged and pleaded with Eagle to let his friend go, but she would not hear his cries and carried off Hare in her mighty talons. From that day on, Beetle swore to get revenge. Beetle searched high and low for Eagle's nest, and when he finally found it, he rolled out all her eggs so they fell and cracked on the ground. Eagle was devastated, and the next time she built her nest higher up in the ridges of the mountains. Beetle soon found the nest again and again. He pushed out Eagle's eggs, not once regretting his actions. That night, Eagle went to Zeus himself and asked if she could keep her eggs in her lap. She told him that someone was trying to destroy her babies and that there was nowhere safe for her hatchlings to be born. Zeus agreed to help. However, Beetle soon found out and covered himself in dung. He then buzzed around Zeus' head until the great god stood up in irritation. The eggs fell to the ground and cracked open. The beetle had this revenge. He then told Zeus the reason why he had done such a thing, and although Zeus agreed that Beetle was right to be angry, he did not want Eagle to suffer. Please stop this now, Beetle. Eagle has suffered greatly. You have avenged the death of a hare. It is time to make peace. Never, cried Beetle and flew off. Zeus had no choice but to change the seasons so that Eagle now only laid her eggs in the spring when Beetle slept underground. Hi everyone, hope you've liked these stories which I told you now. So, next time I would come up with such good stories again. Until then, take care, bye bye. Please do subscribe to my channels to watch my all upcoming videos. Take care, bye bye.